Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast, where we talk about all things sustainable fat loss. We take people on 90-day journeys to creating fat loss forever. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking 90 podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Jerrika and Alex. We are the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thanks for listening. Hey, Jer.
Hey, Alex. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been doing well. How about yourself?
I was actually really excited for this podcast because I have a crazy story to tell.
Okay, let's hear it.
My car got stolen.
No way.
How insane is that? It's like I was in a movie. Like, I never thought I would be one living through that.
Where did it get stolen from? What
I
city?
was in Waterloo.
Wow. Jeez,
it's actually
insane.
very common there. Very common, actually.
What kind of car do you drive?
A Ford Escape. A white piece of shit. Can I say that?
You know what?
Ford Escape.
You know what? I think Ford Escape's like one of, I think Honda CR-V is the highest, but Ford Escape's one of the highest stolen vehicles because it's one of the most common.
Makes sense, for sure. Yeah. Just so crazy. But I even have a more crazy part to this story.
Okay, go.
I found my own, I restole my own car. I stole it back.
Go on. I need to know more.
I don't want to take the whole podcast, but I was like, I have to tell you. So yeah, my car got stolen. I realized that I had one of those tile Bluetooth trackers in my car in a bag. And so throughout the day, I'd get these random pings because if you have a Bluetooth tracker, AirTags are better, but this one would, if someone had my same app, the Tile app downloaded, it would ping off their phone and send me a location of where my car was. So then now I'm like, I'm calling the cops saying, oh, this is where my car is. I got a ping. They never went to look at any of my pings. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start looking. So I got in another car and I drove at the last ping and I found it at the mall. It got dumped at the mall. And so then I restole my car back. Story, eh?
So do you think
all my stuff was still in it? It was just ransacked. Like stuff was everywhere. It was so
Do you think
disgusting.
they had no intentions of going back for it?
They had no intentions of going back for it, and I don't even think they had any intentions of stealing a car. I think that my car was unlocked. They saw, because I practically live in my car. I always have, so I have so much stuff in it. They saw how much stuff was in it. They went through it. They probably found my spare key, which I haven't been able to find in 7 months. Took the spare key, took it for a joyride, and dumped it at the Conestoga Mall.
I love it. I love it. Where did it get stolen? Out of your driveway?
Out of my friend's condo parking lot.
I love this. This is amazing.
Yeah, what a story,
Thank you for bringing this story.
And it happened a few days ago, but I was going to message to all the coaches and just tell a crazy story, but I was like, I got to tell Alex on the podcast to get your reaction.
That's so awesome. If somebody stole my car, I would never go looking for it again. I'd be like, yes.
Well, that's the thing is I said, I hate my car and I've been wanting a new car for so long. But the fact that I was getting a Bluetooth tracker pinging my phone to telling me where it was, I had to, that's my mindset. Like, I'm like, I have to figure this out. Like, I am now Detective Jerrika. So that was the only reason. Otherwise, I don't want my car. Like, I want a new car so bad. But I was so attached to the things that were in it. Like, my whole massage business was in my car and et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, cool story.
That's awesome. What topic do you have today? I hope we have more talking about heists and stolen vehicles.
I was trying to tie it into health and fitness, but I don't think I can. So okay. I want to talk about the word sustainability. This is a word that we throw around so often, talking about sustainable lifestyles, sustainable programs, anything with the word sustainability, what it means to us, what it means to be 90, and just kind of got a couple points I want to make.
All right, cool. I'll let you start it off then.
Sure. So I just want to start off with the definition that I actually found on Google, and I thought it was really interesting because of obviously the route they're going to take, but it's the avoidance of depletion of natural resources in order to maintain an ecological balance, which they're talking about obviously sustainability on our earth, but it's totally applicable to avoiding depleting ourselves from any major like diets and anything crazy, right? To maintain an ecological balance in the body. So I thought that was really interesting. Just right off the hop, I wanted to kind of throw the definition out there in case people are unsure.
Yeah, that's cool. And even like aside from obvious things like nutrients, I mean, it's hard to measure, but we only have so much mental capacity to commit to. And
Yeah.
that's the problem with an unsustainable approach, is that people just get burnt out physically and mentally, where they're just like, this is too extreme, this is too much, I can't continue this. That's where that definition kind of ties back a lot to me, is just the mental sustainability of it all. That's cool.
And I'm glad that you used the word extreme, because that's probably the most common thing we see, right, with non-sustainable diets, exercise programs, etc., is that we see the extreme route taken. And I do want to talk about that a little bit later in the podcast, when that might be a little bit more appropriate. But for right now, I just kind of wanted to touch on, like with Breaking 90, or even just us as coaches, a sustainable approach would just be a lifestyle that you can sustain or maintain, right, throughout whatever life's events. And I think that's something that we preach often, is how to tackle what you're doing, exercise, nutrition wise, or any type of goal. You should be able to attack it with all aspects of life. Whatever's coming at you, you should be able to kind of roll with it. And that's what we try to teach, right?
Yep. And I think on the flip side to that, that's the biggest reason why a lot of the fad diets out there don't work for people, or fad fitness programs don't work for people, is because when your motivation's high and you're like gung-ho, you're just starting out, you can crush anything. It's not bad, because you're willing to make the sacrifices necessary to stick to those guidelines. But then a life obstacle comes up, and you're like, how could I possibly not eat carbs at this event, or not have a piece of the cake, or fit in that 10th workout that I committed to this week because we're going away this weekend. Like, that's where the extreme will often let people down. You'll get those quick results because you can commit to that temporarily, but what we do in B90 is look at that long-term sustainable approach. Is this something that I'm going to be able to do forever? If so, what rules do I have to put in place to make that happen? If not, how do I adapt to the point that I will be able to do this forever, or for long term?
Exactly. And typically when people start, whether it's a quick fix or one of those crazy diets, or even our program, typically when people start and are willing to do these lifestyle changes, it's in a period of their life that not a lot's going on, right? They're like, okay, like, I've got a couple weeks, like they're ready to focus on themselves. But then it's a few weeks usually into the program, or whatever it may be. We usually see about 3 weeks in that things start to happen, unplanned events, planned events, different things like that. And that's what sets you apart from a quick fix fad diet extreme to something sustainable, because you're able to tackle those random things that come up.
For sure. And I don't think there's an issue with taking advantage of that period of that high, that motivation. And it's part of the reason that we're playing around with our 6-week transformation challenge now too, which a lot of people have seen us posting about and have been inquiring about. It will be extreme. It isn't long-term sustainable to do something like that. And it's okay to jump into something a little more extreme, but you have to have an exit plan too, which is what a lot of these things are lacking or missing, right? A lot of these things are just designed to be like, hey, like, come lose your 20 pounds. But it's like, how do I transition back into normal life now? How do I make this sustainable afterwards, where a lot of these fad diets aren't going to get you? You're going to be right back on that roller coaster. You're going to fall into your old habits and tricks.
Exactly. It becomes that all or nothing mentality, because they'll go back to their regular lifestyle and they realize, oh my gosh, I'm gaining all this weight back. And then they go back into the extreme that this quick fix taught them. And then, like you said, it's just like back and forth. And it's so unhealthy for what we talked about at the beginning, our mental state, right? Like it plays such a big part, not only physically, but mentally. So I'm actually really glad you touched on when it could be okay, because that's something that I did want to make note of, is that in certain situations, yeah, it is okay. You might have a trip in 3 weeks and you might just want to feel a little bit better. And there are times to do that, but there's also, what's the most important thing is how do we go back to normal activities, normal lifestyle. And that's what I wanted to really hone in on is the exit plan. Teaching you just how to navigate, and not going from the crazy restriction just to back to your maintenance. Like there's got to be that transition phase so that we don't just feel not like ourselves during that time.
Yeah, reverse. You'll see that the key term, reverse dieting, right? That's basically what we're talking about, is coming out of an extreme diet into something more normal. So for everybody listening to this, before you jump into anything new, always look at that. Is it something I can do forever? The answer is almost always going to be no. I mean, it's not realistic for anybody to strictly diet forever. Is this something I could do forever? If no, do I know how to transition back to what I can do forever? Or is there rules or guidelines in place that are going to help me transition back into something sustainable?
That's a really good point. I want to just touch on too, like maybe some examples of what a sustainable workout routine might look at, or what a sustainable nutrition program might look like, just so that maybe we can kind of spot out some signs. Well, if for those that are listening that are kind of getting caught in this kind of pre-summer internet kind of throwing things at their face, right? So when I think like a sustainable workout routine, the first thing I'm thinking is something that you enjoy, right? If you're doing something, there's times where you're going to do maybe exercises you don't love, but as a whole, you should be, especially if you're just starting out and you want to, this is something you're going to stick with and make a lifestyle, it should be doing something that you enjoy, right?
The only thing I would challenge people on here is that give it enough time that you start to get good at it, because none of us like doing things we suck at. So if you don't already exercise regularly, you will probably not enjoy it. Okay, so at least give it enough time that the movement patterns are becoming familiar to you, and you're like, oh yeah, I know this exercise. I kind of can do this easily now without watching the video the whole time or reviewing the form the whole time. Once you start to get a little bit better at it, I think you'll be surprised at how much more you enjoy it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like the example of usually running. Like I always swore I was not a runner, in quotations. That was like my first thing I told people. I'm not a runner. Like, don't ask me to run. But then once you start getting better at running and you feel, the way you feel after, or the accomplishment, it's like, yeah, I'll go for a run. I still to this day don't love it, but I know the benefits and I feel good doing it. So that's a routine that I'm willing to implement. So that kind of leads me into a sustainable workout routine also has some form of accountability in my mind, right? In my opinion, because it's sustainable because you can do it forever or you can do it for a long time. But typically there's some form of accountability, because there will be moments of when motivation is low, right? We always talk about having discipline. We did a whole podcast on that, but having some type of accountability, whether it's through coaches or through a workout partner or some sort, is definitely beneficial in the long run.
Yeah,
and that can change over time.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the big thing. A lot of people are like, well, I can't possibly work with a coach forever. Well, you might not need to, depending on your goals and what you want to accomplish, but you should never just leave something without a plan and without a what am I going to do after this, right? If you're getting accountability from a program or a coach or a gym and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, and you're just going to leave, well, expect to fail. You need to say what will now replace that accountability, whether it's your nutrition or training. What is going to replace this accountability once I give up this form of accountability? It could be for some people, a picture on a wall might be enough accountability, but you need to have a plan.
Yeah. And the last kind of point I want to talk about with a sustainable workout routine would be start slowly, but progresses gradually. It's kind of how I wanted to put it. Like one that's not going to just make you start doing these crazy hit routines when you haven't exercised, in a really long time. Something that's just going to start nice and slow, kind of get you into it, but a routine that you're going to see progression over time. And to me, that's something that's sustainable.
Yeah, we need to see results. It's in us. We need to see results. That's kind of our reward for our hard work. I get that. But faster results will almost always lead to failing, whether that comes from an injury or comes from the idea of unsustainability, where I just can't do this anymore. It's too much. That's not worth it for faster results. So when we talk about a sustainable approach with our clients and prospects, a lot of people ask me, what is realistic for me to do over the next 90 days? How much weight could I lose over the next 90 days? Well, there isn't an answer there. There isn't a realistic for you that's realistic for me, that's realistic for Jerrika. It's different for all of us. Sustainability to me is getting you the fastest progress possible that you can continue doing. And so for some people, they might be able to work out 4 days a week or 5 days a week because they were already doing 3 or 4 days per week. For other people who were doing nothing, well, 3 or 4 days or 5 days a week of exercise is going to lead to an injury or burnout. So sustainability has to look different from person to person. What's the fastest rate of progress you can make without sacrificing, without causing injury, without falling off track, with continuing to keep that sustainability as a huge part of it, right? So don't get caught up in that. Like, so many people talk about like 2 pounds per week. Well, what is that, right? Like,
Yeah.
sure, some people lose 2 pounds per week, but like some people lose a half a pound, or some people lose 3 pounds. Like, what can you live with?
Exactly. And like, this person might have literally nothing going on, no kids or nothing, and this person might have a lot of these other factors. So exactly, everything has to be a little bit individualized. And the person that might be losing 3 pounds could be, the first week could be all water. Like, again, what is even 3 pounds at the start too? So it's all I'm glad you really touched on that. I really wanted to hit a few points too on kind of just picking out a more of a sustainable nutrition program, not necessarily program. I just mean, lifestyle change. So the first thing is kind of what I said about workout routine is eating foods you like, right? Finding something that says you have to eat, or you can't eat bananas. We use that so much. You can't eat bananas, or you have to eat X, Y, and Z every day, or you have to drink lemon water. Like, all these examples, it's in reality, it should be eating things that you actually enjoy, and you choosing what you're eating, not someone else telling you what to eat.
Agreed. Anytime you're faced with something that seems extreme, ask yourself, be real with yourself, because most of us know, is this actually the biggest problem in my diet right now? Right? Like, address the big problems before we address the little problems. Is this banana actually the biggest problem in my diet? If you're real with yourself, I will wager a guess that every single person listening to this knows the banana is not the main problem in your diet. It's the evenings or weekends, or the takeout food, or the late night snacking. Like, we all have our things, but it's not going to be that banana when you break it down, unless you're like a figure competitor, in which case you're probably not even listening to this podcast. The banana is not your issue. And on the flip side, if this diet tells you you have to have lemon water every day, or apple cider vinegar every day, or like you have to take this supplement every day, like, am I trying to put a band-aid over something that is a much bigger issue, right? Like, am I eating 6 donuts a week and assuming that drinking apple cider vinegar is going to be the change I need to make? A lot of this just comes down to being very real with yourself and very, very accountable with yourself, which can be difficult. And that's the reason people hire coaches.
Right. It's about, being honest, for sure. And it's understanding that, like, we always talk about good foods versus bad foods, and that mentality where we'd rather people look at it as some foods, are more nutritious than others, but they all have caloric value. And just understanding that, I wouldn't say, those 6 donuts, are they bad for you? They're just, you have to understand that they hold the caloric value. Yes, they're less nutritious, and maybe eating 6 of them in one sitting is going to put you in a surplus. It's just, and learning the little things that can add up over time and make the difference.
Awesome. Did we hit everything you wanted to?
We did. I just wanted to just kind of remind everyone in the take-home message that the sustainable route is usually the slowest route. And that might not be something that you want to necessarily hear, but at the end of the year, if you lost 10 pounds slowly but kept it off, right? Or if you lost 10 pounds quickly and then regained it and lost it, right? It's what happened throughout that year. It's the 10 pounds you lost and kept off is what we're happy with. That's the slow progress. That's what we're looking for. It might not be the fancy, sexy approach, but it's the one that's slower, that you can maintain. And at the end, you're going to have way more energy, and you're going to live a happier life throughout.
The person who lost 10 pounds over the year, 20 pounds over the year, even 30 or 40 pounds over the year, probably was able to enjoy themselves, was able to have pizza, was able to have drinks and ice cream with their family.
The friend we all know who made a ton of progress in a month, and everybody's like, oh man, they did so amazing, I'm so jealous of that. Just take a look at where they are 1 year from now. Honestly, if they lost 20 pounds in a month, they will probably be right back to where they were 1 year from now or worse. We've all seen it time and time again. That is not sustainable. It's okay to jump on those periods of motivation and make slightly faster progress or slightly slower progress through a crazy time of your life, but we need to keep feathering it, move slightly up, slightly down. It's not about those big, quick pushes.
And it doesn't always have to be the losing, and understanding that there are seasons and moments in our life where we just maintaining is a win, or it's right, because that's going to be our new normal or our new weight. So the maintenance phases are just something to celebrate as much as the times that we drop, right? So that's just kind of what I want to take home. And yeah, we hit everything that I kind of want to touch on.
Awesome. Do you have a tip to leave the listeners with?
I do. This is kind of, I guess, like a physical or fitness tip, something a little bit different. I'm going to challenge everyone to take a ball and start rolling your feet. Our feet are obviously one of the areas that get used the most every single day. They carry so much tension, especially for all those people out there walking and running a little bit more with the nicer weather. So I'm going to just challenge you to put a ball, roll your feet on it every morning, something super simple, 30 seconds, and see the difference it makes in how you feel.
Cool. I know you've recommended that to a lot of our clients, and they've already seen a lot of changes just from doing that one simple thing. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, thank you for listening. Thanks for being here with us today. If you have any questions in relation to this podcast, please reach out to us or comment on the podcast. If you enjoyed listening, please share it with your friends, or rate it, comment on it, share it with friends, and let us know what topics you'd love to hear covered in the future. All right, have a great day.